Hey guys, I'm Chef T-Max. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm in New York City. I went to the Union Square Green Market and I got some really fun stuff as well as some seafood down in the Chelsea Market. And today we're gonna make some beautiful hake from up in the Northeast with ramps. These beautiful ramps were in season, really nice. It's gonna make a great sauce, a beautiful butter sauce that goes with that. Now, I had a really nice bread as well from a local baker along the way, and it's gonna be a great dish, so you wanna make sure you stay for this. Click subscribe if you're not doing that already. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and ring that bell and I'll send you new things I have coming up. So I'll see you back in a second. Okay guys, welcome back. So on the ramps, I want to talk to you a little bit about ramps. I know ramps is something you might not be able to get. You could sub in this, scallions would be really good. And I think that's probably the best thing. I would mix the scallion maybe with a garlic chive, because those are two things you can usually find pretty easy in a grocery store, or garlic and scallions together. But that's the beauty of these ramps. They're going to give you that garlicky earthiness. That's wonderful. You know, you get them a lot of times at March, April, maybe a little bit of May, the end of May, and then they're gone. So a lot of times you'll see these fresh like this now, and then you'll see them pickled because a lot of chefs will take them and just start pickling them for different preparations later. So with this, I'm just going to take it and I want to just dice up in these small bites this beautiful ramp. It's really simple how we do that. Really fresh, and I've got a whole bowl of them here that I've already diced up. So I've got this bowl of ramps, and with this, we're gonna make the sauce that goes with our fish. So I've got some mussels today. I picked out some mussels from the market, and the thing about mussels, it's really not necessarily just the texture of the mussel, eating the mussel, having this big bowl of mussels. It's really about having the flavor that comes from the liquor of those mussels. So all I needed was, you know, a small amount of mussels, and here what I've done is taken my mussels and I've got those steamed in a little bit of water. I just put like a half a cup of water, brought it to a boil, put the mussels in, put the lid on, let that steam for about 4 to 5 minutes till they pop open. They're really nice in there, and I'll leave them like this. I'm gonna keep that liquid because we're gonna make the sauce with the ramps with that. And then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do our fish. So with the fish, I've got this beautiful hake. And this hake is I love any type of like this beautiful white flaky fish like this. You could use halibut, you could use swordfish, but a lot of times when I do this preparation with things like halibut or a hake like this, it's because I want to kind of give some texture to the fish as well. The fish doesn't have a skin on it, right? Normally you can do crispy skin fish with certain types of fish like salmon and snapper. You leave the skin on and you have this barrier of protection because the meat itself of the fish is super tender and delicate. So when you cut in and taste that, that's where you taste that luxury flavor. If you saute this overly crispy, right, it really damages the flesh of the fish and you don't get that subtle flavor that the fish is offering. So what you want to do is have this barrier between it. Now, like I said, on some fish you have a skin to create that barrier, but on this you don't. The skin isn't very edible on this. So what I do is I take a nice thin piece of sourdough bread, get that from your market, cut it really paper thin, and then I take my filet and I've seasoned it with a little salt, and I lay that filet down on top of the bread. And then I'm going to simply cut around the bread to form equally with this fish. And what it does, and then I press it on there like this. So now you can see what I have is this beautiful protective layer of bread. Now, what we do is I'm going to get a hot pan and we're going to start to saute this up. When we saute this up, this is never going to get flipped on this flesh side. This flesh side, we want that to remain super tender and delicate. It'll only stay on that bread side that's going to get crunchy. It's going to have all the flavors from the fish in there, and it's going to give really nice texture to it and protect the fish at the same time. So let me go ahead and get a hot pan, and then we'll start sauteing these up. You guys can see what it looks like. Okay, you guys, I'm here with these beautiful Japanese turnips. So these turnips, they're really best if you have a grill, and I love to just put olive oil, salt, and pepper on them and grill them. But I'm going to show you how we can just char those right in here. I'm going to turn this fan on a little bit because we're going to need a little bit of extraction going on here. I'm going to put a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to start with a little olive oil. I use good olive oil, even though I don't like to use olive oil to do too high cooking like this because of that burn. And what we want to do is kind of just char and steam these like this. Okay. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll add a little salt now. And then I'll also add a little bit of, I've got some chili flakes, not a lot. I just want to put in a little bit for a touch of spice. And then I'm going to put some black pepper. And I kind of blow the steam away when I do that because it's kind of hard to get that pepper to go down in there. Okay, that's perfect. So it's got these beautiful flavors. I'll put a touch more salt. Now I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil on the top. And I want to let that char a little bit. If I burn a couple of the leaves, that's actually not such a bad thing. I will turn it down slightly. And from here, I want that to kind of steam, and I'm going to toss that over. Okay, guys, we're back in the kitchen, and I've got my cast iron pan here, and this is going to be the best to kind of cook this with. And then I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil all around it. It's starting to get really hot, and I want that oil to heat up. And I also want to put a little bit of butter in this because the butter is going to give that bread that beautiful nuttiness when it it'll kind of brown up a little bit. So I've got a lot of olive oil in there and butter. Now what I want to do is lay my beautiful fish fillets in there with their little bread coating. You see this beautiful bread coating? And the bread doesn't need to be adhered to it specifically. It's ready to go like this. So I lay that in perfectly like this, and you guys can see how much space is in there. It's beautiful and ready to roll. Okay, then I'm going to put a little bit of salt on the bottom as well. We want to season the fish nice. Okay, and that's good. So now at this point, what we're looking to do is just, I kind of tilt it a little bit just to make sure that butter and olive oil get everywhere. Now, one of the things, I've got my oven on about 350, and I want to kind of saute the bread and start to get a little crunch on it, a little crust on it, and get this whole pan cooking pretty hard. And then I'm going to throw it in the oven. And what's that going to do? That's going to give us heat and temperature all around the fish, right? And it's going to roast in there. It won't have that direct temperature coming just off the bottom, but it will have residual heat from this cast iron staying hot. So it's going to make sure the bread is nice and toasty and brown, but it's not going to overcook the bread and make it burn. And that's key. If you had it on the stovetop here, what you would do, and you don't want to pop this in the oven, you could put a lid on top of this. If you had a nice tight lid that fit it, you could put a tight lid on this and let it kind of steam at this point while it's sauteing. Turn the saute down lightly, and it would be fine. So right now, this is looking pretty good. So I'm going to toss this in the oven, and then I'm going to pull it out in about, I would say these are going to take about 10. The cool thing about like a hake is that it has a little bit more fat in it. It's going to be a little bit more tender like a cod than a halibut. A halibut you'd want to pull out, undercook it a little bit. Do not overcook a halibut because it turns out very dry. But this fish, you can cook it a little bit more, make sure it's nice and flaky. That's when it's best. You don't want it medium rare. So I would say 10 minutes for this thick filet, especially after it's been sitting here and starting to cook. And we'll see you back in 10 minutes. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, guys. While the fish is cooking in the oven, I'm going to finish the sauce up. So I've got my ramps cooked here. I've got some olive oil. I've got warm in the pan, and I'm going to throw this in, and you guys can see what this looks like. It's really, really nicely chopped up. We're going to just saute it really hard here. We want to really break down the flavor of these ramps. On the other side, I've got my turnips now. My turnips have been charred in the pan, and I've just put them in a pan like this so I can just keep them warm. And I'm putting pecorino romano on top, which I love with them. Just some really beautiful pecorino romano and a squeeze of lemon, and they're going to be ready to go. So now I just want to keep those warm on the side. I can throw those in the oven for a second right before we're ready to eat. Okay, but with these ramps, this is all about cooking these down. Okay, now when they have a nice little saute going on, I take my mussels, and you can see I've picked my mussels here. So I've got the mussels. The mussels and the juice, you want to always keep those together because that'll keep the mussel from drying out. So don't keep them separated, keep them together until the last minute. So I pick them like this. If you have friends and family over, you're not really worried about impressing, you can just leave them right in the shell and make the sauce right in the shell, just a lot of shells. But sometimes it's easier to pick most of the mussels out and then just have a few shells for kind of decoration. So with this, again, we're going to cook this really nicely. And then from there, I'm going to take a little white wine. All right, and I've got about a quarter cup of white wine there. And I want to let those saute off a little bit like that. And then while I wait for that white wine to cook out, it's going to disappear pretty quick. On the white wine, you could use a dry Pinot Grigio, a dry wine. Don't use a sweet wine with this, okay? It should be something that goes nice with seafood. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see the wine is almost out, and that's what we want. I'm going to add in my mussel juice. And that's the beautiful thing about the mussels, right? Is that you didn't have to put in some fake stock. You're using the actual juice from these mussels. That is really the flavor and that wonderful kind of seafood luxury shellfish umami that you get from this. So that's perfect. It's going to be really nice. I'm going to add a touch of salt. Now, with clams, you always have to be worried about the salt, but with mussels, you need to add salt because mussels sometimes can be a little bit sweet. And then I'm going to add also a little bit of pepper. Now, you can make this spicy if you want to. You could add more chili peppers, or Calabrian chili would be really nice with it as well. And what we do is we cook this down until it's about mostly reduced by about halfway. And then I'm going to add my butter in, and then we'll put our mussels in this dish to just slightly keep them warm to go on our fish. And then we're going to chop some dill up that we got in the market, and it's going to be finished. So you have lemon, dill, and these garlicky flavor of the ramps. It's a fantastic combination. I think you guys are going to like it, so stay with me. Okay, guys, I've got a beautiful salad here I've made. Just simple, wonderful lettuces from this organic green market. Local farms all around New York City. Lola Rosa. I've got red oak, green oak. And with this, I'm just going to throw a little bit of chopped dill in that, just like I'm going to have dill in the sauce, right? And I've got wonderful bunched red radishes here. These are an amazing red radish. All I do is cut the top off, cut the bottom off. I cut them in half, and I lay them flat. And what does that do? That keeps them from rolling around and cutting yourself. And then you just rock your knife, and you've got these. Sometimes I like a radish. So these radishes are so fresh. Sometimes pickling them, you lose the freshness, that fresh radishy flavor, that horseradishy flavor that you get from them. So sometimes it's better to do like a really quick marinade of the vinegar, salt on there. Salt and radish is a great combination. There's so much water in there, it brings the flavor out, okay? But we're gonna add a really nice fresh lemon on there, the juice of one lemon. And the juice of one lemon is a very kind of variable thing there, because sometimes in the summer when lemons are out of season, you might get 3 drops out of a lemon. So you should really run this kind of a salad right now in the spring, when those lemons are just finishing their season up. They're super juicy and really nice. And with this, I'm going to toss this beautiful salad together just with my citrus and my radish and my lettuce, and it's going to be super fresh. And I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to that right at the end, and we'll be back in a second. Let me show you what this fish looks like. I want you guys to take a look at this fish. The fish has been cooking in the oven on that skin side down. Now, right when it comes out is when I want to flip it, because that's when I want the bread to stay crispy. So You see how when I flip that, this fish is beautiful. Look at how tender it is, right? Nothing has really broken down the fish itself and made it tough or chewy. It's just really, the fish is all about this tender fillet that we got from having this protective layer of bread on there. So I'm going to take these off, and you can see what they look like. Look at this as I flip these over, right? They're just wonderful. See how golden that is? By flipping it over and letting it sit here in the pan now, the fish is going to continue to cook through, which is going to be fantastic, but the bread itself is not going to get soggy. That's what we want. We want it to stay crispy. While we do that, I'm going to finish my other dish up here by adding in my mussels and the liquid that's coming off of those, and butter. So I've got a couple tablespoons of butter here, right? And I'm going to add in some lemon. Okay, I'm going to cut another one right here. You need a lot of lemon juice. So you can see that's almost like 2 tablespoons of lemon juice from a half of a lemon. So really, these lemons are giving us their weight right there. Okay, and then I'm going to just stir this in. And we want that butter to melt. Let me give a little bit more butter too. Probably takes, I would say it's the equivalent of probably a full tablespoon and a half of butter per person for this. So it looks like it's a lot of butter for one person, but when you're eating with 4 or 5 people, it's not so bad. So with this, I want to taste it, and I want to see where we are salt-wise. It's actually tasting perfect. I don't want to add any salt to it. It's got beautiful lemoniness. So at this point, all of our components are done. So let's go take a look at what this looks like on the plate. Back, I've got my sauce. Right at the end is when I like to put my dill in. I don't like to overcook that dill and get it brown. I like it nice and vibrant. So you guys can see what this looks like. So beautiful mussel sauce here. I'm gonna add this right onto my dish here. And I've got this wonderful flavor of the mussels. It's gonna be awesome with the fish. I don't wanna put it on top of the bread because the bread is so beautiful and nice. And then I'm going to pull out these turnips from the oven. We're going to take a look at these. So I've got awesome turnips. I've got a little bit of pecorino romano on there. I'm just going to put those right on the side. Awesome, fresh additive to this dish. So wonderful fish. Nothing really heavy with this. It's all lettuces, beautiful vegetables, just a little bit of bread to protect the fish. Awesome mussel flavor, beautiful lemon and dill. It's a great dish. I think you guys are going to like this. Try it at home. Super simple. You don't have to get ultra complicated. Have fun with it, and I'll see you back in the kitchen soon. I'm Chef T-Max.